Hey, it's Pops, and yes, Sound of Freedom continues to make headlines, and this was the latest I wanted to give you guys. I couldn't believe a couple of these things here really quickly. The first thing is, yes, Sound of Freedom has now passed Indiana Jones. Obviously, it had passed Mission Impossible previously with the domestic box office. Obviously, there's been some different things that have happened on the Disney front, and it has been very interesting to see it become more like a viral sensation now to talk about Sound of Freedom. Jordan Peterson, of course, made headlines here speaking about it briefly. This was a Newsweek article that is discussing Peterson. They call him a psychologist and conservative influencer. Okay. And it basically it's Peterson attacking Disney, and then it is sort of the movie is generalized, talks about box office, whatever, and then finally you have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs before you actually get to the Peterson quote. That's how bad journalism is these days. And it just says, "Isn't that something? Are you paying attention, Disney?" Before it's highly unlikely. So it is that it was a tweet from Zero Hedge about Sound of Freedom passing Indiana Jones. In other words, he was basically like calling Disney out a little bit, and they made that into a story. And then let me see here. Okay, so they have to put the caveats in because this is how Newsweek will roll, right? Put in the comment that yes, it did well at the box office because it falls far behind at the international box office because obviously Angel Studios doesn't have an international distribution arm. This is a very small independent company. It will have some other territory releases. It at least notes that it will get some sort of release in August and September. So, but here's the lie. Here's the lie. Sound of Freedom was a huge success in the U.S. These films don't travel well outside the U.S. Movie blogger Paul Ferrer told Newsweek he's only going to take in about 10% internationally. Okay, see how manipulative that is? One, we don't know if it travels well or not because it didn't get any release. There's no distribution globally. Two, 10% is silly because if you think about you would have to reverse engineer the math to figure that out, right? So let's say it makes $20 million more. It's now global box office is 200 and something. Okay, is $20 million internationally a failure for this film? I would think $20 million is a success for this film. So the implication is the big studios with their distribution arms, they know what they're doing, and Angel Studios in this film is not. It's so biased and slanted. I just wanted to point out some of those nuances here so you guys can get a feel for how the media operates. Because, I mean, a lot of folks, they hear these words thrown around about bias and media and that kind of thing. The other big story, I think, was over Deadline actually had the headline, which I was like blown away of how they were handling this. It says the Sound of Freedom. Let me pull my graphic down. We don't really need it for this article, I don't think. Pays crowdfunders back. So I was like, whoa, how much? So this basically is talking about Angel Studios, the distributor behind the Alejandro Monteverde surprise hit, summer surprise hit, Sound of Freedom. He gave them back the 120%. So they basically made 20% on their investment. So whatever they donated from the crowdfunding arm of it all, they have given back. So the 6,678 Angel Gilded members have received $1.20 for every dollar. So they made 20% in their investment in Sound of Freedom. This is Neil Harmon, the CEO of Angel Studios. The Angel Guild is the key to our theatrical strategy, and paying out as quickly as possible is always our first priority. Very nice. And again, Deadline can't help themselves, right? It's no secret the movie's popularity and ticket sales have been fueled by right-wing think groups and QAnon fever. Deadline can't. These places are not capable of giving you an honest shake. They're just not. Okay. Because it just talks about the pressure, about how in some of the interviews it sounds like he's discrediting QAnon people or whatever. It's like and that's not his entire thing. Was it's just nonsense. Like that's nothing to do with it. So here's the release schedule starting this Friday. So South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, Guatemala, all through South America, Central South America. And then overseas, it has a UK and Ireland release in September 1st and Spain on October 11th. So that's good to see, and definitely spreading the rings. Again, let's just presume what, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. I don't know. I don't know that it's yeah. So anyway, that is the general update on Sound of Freedom. The other article was People Magazine talking about how it passed Indiana Jones and how Disney at one point had owned Sound of Freedom, but when they bought Fox, and of course they shelved it, and then of course they got their rights to the control the money back. It's kind of a nonsensical. There's a lot of fluff in here, but it's not anything that's I don't know. It's just media can't handle it. They can't stand the fact that this film exists and that it has done well, and it's surpassed so many other films, including obviously the aforementioned Indiana Jones and Mission Impossible, but also Transformers and Flash and movies like that. So imagine if it actually does get a little bit longer re-release. I actually would encourage these folks to, put together a new marketing trailer or something like that and ask audiences to go back out, help us reach 200 million, help us reach 250, whatever, put these quotes together, those kinds of things. So that would be what I would do. I'd put a strategy commercial and a marketing ad out about, thank you to our angel people who donated. We're happy to give back, and you've made this possible. Imagine what else we can do as we close in on 200, 250, whatever. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. I'm Pops.
Right? And I'm not playing no